right, let's talk about 28 days and 28 weeks later. There was supposed to be a 28 months at some point, but we never got that. So that's unfortunate, but let's just be happy we got these movies, right? So 28 days later came out in 2002 on IMDb, but it says 2003 on the back of this cover. So I don't know. I think maybe it was wide released like in the US in 2003. Maybe it was released in 2002 over in the UK. But this was directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland, who has been directing ever since. Did like Ex Machina and Annihilation and the more recent Men movie, the A24 film. And this is an infection movie, a virus movie, not a zombie movie. A lot of people call this zombies. To me, a zombie movie is when they come out of the ground and they're dead, but now they're back. These people were never dead ever, so it's not a zombie movie. All right, so I'm gonna be that guy and be like, actually, it's not a zombie movie. So yeah, it's not. It's a fucking infection movie, and a very effective one. So getting into what I like about this movie is right out of the gate after the whole like opening, as soon as the movie really starts with our main character, played by like Cillian Murphy, he wakes up and the whole town is empty. The whole city, like all of London, is empty, and you get all these cool exterior shots of all of London, all these different iconic locations that are just empty, nothing but debris and trash, and it just looks pretty eerie. The whole ghost town setting is pretty cool. I love the atmosphere, and I love that the infected people are fast and they look pretty scary. I don't like slow moving like zombies, although this isn't a zombie movie, but I'm glad they're not just like walking towards people. They're running. They're fucking very vicious and scary looking. The red contacts in their eyes, pretty awesome. And the characters are very likable. We got this father and daughter that join our main character, Jim, and he falls in love with this girl, Selena, who's a bit of a badass. I wish she would have put up more of a fight towards the end in the third act. She doesn't really do as much as I would have thought she would. But she's still kind of a badass. Like, she's kind of cold at first. Like, if you turn into a, zombie or whatever, if you get infected, I'm going to kill you without skipping a beat. Like, instant. Like, I won't hesitate. And she stays true to her word for the one guy, Mark. She does not hesitate at all. So yeah, you got great likable characters, and when some of them die, you actually feel sad, and they just got great personality, and it's just fun watching them walk around shoplifting and just having a good time. Like the one guy still has a sense of humor, Frank, and the theme music, like the score towards the end that they use a lot in the next movie, is pretty awesome. I like that sound. It has like this guitar riff and has a terrifying premise, this movie, especially nowadays with everything going on. The idea of a virus like this existing is not too far of a stretch. Like, it could happen. Who knows? I'm not sure why they're creating this virus. They never really go into that in the beginning. Like, they're trying to cure something, I assume, but they're putting this rage into monkeys, and then animal activists, they fuck everything up for everyone, and it spreads. But yeah, it's just a terrifying premise. I also thought there was quite a few good attack sequences, like that came out of nowhere, some good scares, and some really good depressing moments as well that just really worked. Getting into my negatives, first I just want to point out a couple of little nitpicks. Why don't they wear masks and like goggles? Because they establish that if the blood or saliva gets in your eyes or your mouth, it's gonna infect you within like 10 seconds. And they're like chopping up people left and right and blood splashing on their face. It's like, dude, wear goggles, wear a mask so that that shit can't happen. So that's just one of my little nitpicks. And second, and it kind of has to, it applies to every movie like this. And even the zombie movies, I always question it, and that is, why don't they attack each other? Especially in a movie like this where it's a rage virus and they're supposed to be like filled with rage and want to kill everyone in sight. You would think they'd be killing each other as well. And there's not as much gore and violence as you would expect in a movie like this. It's much more character driven. So I wish there was a bit more carnage in here, more gore. It seemed pretty light on that stuff. And I do not like the look of the movie, and I do understand that they did it on purpose, but I don't like the look. They purposely like shot it in like digital video, and they made it look really grainy, very low budget looking, almost like shot on video looking. Like it looks terrible. It's a Blu-ray, and it looks like almost VHS quality. It just looks terrible. I also kind of don't like the third act turning into a cliche. The soldiers, the government is the true bad guy. Like, it's not the infected we should be worried about. It's our government, and they're just evil, and it's just been here, done that. Like, I can't stand it. Like, why did it have to go in that direction? Why couldn't they just continue their journey to like a boat? Like, why aren't they trying to get to a different country where there is no infected? Do they think the whole world is infected? Maybe there was a line and I missed it, but according to the sequel, it was just this country. It was just the UK. So why aren't they trying to get on a boat and go to the next country? Go to Europe, go to the US, wherever you want to go, but just get out of the UK. Find a boat. So final thoughts. This is a very effective, creepy, and deep infection movie that's much more focused on character development and creating likable protagonists rather than just focusing on set pieces and awesome like carnage like the sequel does. So when it comes to 28 Days Later, I'll give it 4 out of 5. Alright, quick spoiler discussion. So we open up with a monkey on a table being forced to watch violence on TV, showing all the violence in the world, and then these animal rights activist people come in to release the monkeys, and they're told outright that these things are infected with rage, highly contagious, and they're just like, whatever. And they let it go, and it was awesome to see those idiots get their faces chewed off by the monkeys, because they deserve it, because they're idiots. And then it just flashes forward 28 days later, and we got our main protagonist, Jim, just laying butt-ass naked on a hospital bed. Not sure why he's fully nude. I would expect him to be in like a hospital gown, but he was just sitting there butt-ass naked and wakes up to a living nightmare. He should have just stayed asleep. He just goes around the whole city and every place is empty. It's dead quiet. And then he goes inside this church and there's just bodies everywhere. And then as soon as he says hello, you just see like 3 infected people like turn and look at him. One of the creepiest moments in the movie, really. That's our first look at the infections people. And then they're like chasing him around the corner. He bumps into the other 2 survivors. And even when they're on fire, they're still chasing after him. Like, being on fire doesn't faze them. They just keep running. So that's pretty scary too. And then the dude Mark just tells him a really random bad joke. I'm not sure what he's trying to do there. Like, is that how he tests whether or not you're an infected person? To like see if you have a sense of humor? Like, what was with the bad joke? But anyway, so then he finds that his parents have committed suicide, finds out that the hard way, goes home, seeing if they're still alive, and they're in bed, dead, with like champagne or wine next to the bed and all kinds of pills. So they killed themselves, and they wrote a note for him in case he woke up that said, "Don't wake up." We left you sleeping, now we're sleeping too. Don't wake up. Well, the only way he'll find that note is if he does wake up, so it's kind of too late at that point. So Selena does not hesitate to kill Mark once he gets bitten on the arm. At first, I thought she was just trying to like amputate, sever his arm off to save him, like an Evil Dead. Just cut the arm off, you'll be all right. No, she just kills him. Like, she's chopping his arm off at first, and then she just keeps hacking at him, blood hitting her in the face, none of it getting in her eye or her mouth, luckily. If you're going to be using a machete, maybe you should be wearing like a face mask. And then there's some really jarring scene transitions in the movie. Like one moment where you can just see someone's like mouth in the corner for like 10 whole seconds. And then it like slowly like transitions to the next scene. It was really weird. And so then after they bump into Frank and the daughter, they realize that they're not going to be able to live there very long. There's no rain, so the buckets on the roof aren't filling up with water. And so they get in the car and they're driving over a whole like pile of cars somehow. Like it looked like there was just like a junkyard in the tunnel, and they somehow got the car to go over it, and then they have like a flat tire, so they have to like quickly change the tire while the infected are in the distance coming closer and closer, and all these rats are running away from the infected. And so then they just go shopping, and it's like the one moment of like genuine like fun and joy that you see in the film. That's like the one scene where they're all actually happy, having a good time shoplifting. But the guy does leave his credit card on the way out. And so Jim really thinks there's going to be like fresh cheeseburgers at this joint. It's been a while since the infection started. If there was cheeseburgers in there, they'd be bad by now. I don't think they'd be fresh or anything. And then there's a dead like infant baby in a mother's arms in there. And then there's a infected kid that he has to kill with a baseball bat. And then he has like his first kiss with Selena, and their love like feels a bit forced. Like they just met the day before, and now they're already in love. I don't know. She doesn't seem like the kind of girl that would fall in love that quickly. She seems too much of like a selfish badass. Like I'm just protecting myself. Like she's not gonna fall in love. I don't know. I didn't believe it. And their first kiss was just really awkward. It was like a very quick peck on the cheek. It seemed like elementary school kids having their first kiss. It was very like immature. Like what grade are they in? So then the dad gets infected. A very sad scene. Very unlucky. How the blood just lands right on his eye from above. Again, he should have been wearing goggles. Why aren't they wearing goggles? Eyewear, protective eyewear, face mask. They should get on that. You know, if they were shoplifting earlier, they didn't come across any face masks they could steal. And then, yeah, he just gets shot right in front of his own daughter, and that breaks her heart naturally. And then they just pump her full of drugs in the third act, so she has like no emotions anymore. She's very funny. And then they start kissing again. Very sad though this time. Like it's like remorse, like grieving kissing. Like they're very sad about what just happened, and so they're like about to fuck. It seems, and then she just storms out of the room. Like no, I can't do this. And so they're keeping the soldiers. They're keeping one of the infected soldiers on a leash because they want to learn something from him, like how long it's going to take for them to starve. And I would imagine it's the same amount of time it would take you to starve. So keeping him on that leash is just stupid. They're not scientists. They're not going to learn much from this person, so they should just shoot him. So, yeah, then they want to repopulate the UK with these two girls. Like, really? Again, do they think the whole world is fucked? Because according to the sequel and according to the end of this movie, it's not. It's just their country. So, what makes them think the whole world is like the UK? If they thought that, then I guess it would make sense why they would have this mindset. Like, we need to repopulate the Earth because the whole Earth is like this. But no, it's just the UK. So I just thought that was really stupid. Like, and then so somehow Jim climbs over this tall wall that has like a barbed wire fence on top, like all this barbed wire, and he like climbs it with ease while his hands are handcuffed. I'm not sure how he pulled that off. Then Jim sees an airplane in the sky, which tells him that the whole world is not infected. There are people out there. And he shoots the chain on the soldier that's infected, lets him go, which is kind of a bad thing to do. Like, how does he know that doing that isn't going to cause the two girls' deaths? like, he's putting them at risk by doing that, but it all works out for him. It works exactly how he envisioned it. Then we get probably like the best gore sequence in the movie where he's bashing the soldier's head up against the wall and then starts to gouge his eyes out and then kisses Selena right after that again. This time it gets interrupted by Hannah, who is acting stoned, and then they just ram this gate open, and we get some weird editing, and it's like very like rapid cuts, and it has like some of the alternate ending in there where Jim died, but now in this cut, the theatrical version, he is not dead. She gives him CPR, and they make this big old sign for outside that says hello instead of writing like help, which would be one less letter to make out of those sheets. So why not just write help? It would be a little easier than writing hello. And then, yeah, that's the end of the movie. The airplane sees them, and they're going to send a chopper in to rescue them. And the alternate ending, like I said, is Jim dying. And then there was another ending that involved like them saving Frank, the girl's dad, with a blood transfusion, which doesn't really make sense. It seems like a plot hole. Wouldn't that just make both of them infected? Like, I don't know. I don't see how that would work. Like a full transfusion, like you would take every drop of blood out of his body, like for that to work. I don't know. Like, I'm not a doctor, so it just doesn't sound like it would work. A transfusion like that, you would just be more than likely getting Jim and Frank infected. So yeah, and in that alternate ending that they never shot, there would have been no soldiers at all. So, but yeah, that is the end of 28 Days Later. What are your thoughts on this movie? Is it your favorite infection or zombie movie? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's all an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.